Just my opinion. Just my MT, baby.
And spiritual story, we in house,
Oh, hey, fam. What's up? This is the Spiritual Stud.
And I am MT, baby.
We want to welcome you to the next episode of Just My Opinion. And we're going to talk about a few things. MT is going to bring some history to you. A few things. MT is going to bring some history to you. And then I'm going to talk about some contemporary things that's happening in our world. So I will turn it over to the historian.
I wouldn't classify myself as such, but I do like my research. I really do. So this is what happened. I was watching Wonder Woman, and I said, you know what? If Amazonia was a real place, I need a passport. That's all I'm saying. It took me, 2 years to watch the movie, but I finally got it in there. And it got me to thinking. And I was thinking about all the women in history and gender norms in history that have been silenced, set aside, hushed up, whatever you want to call it, from us. And it led me down the rabbit hole of, gender norms in history.
Okay.
Because, and I've done a little research on this before, but I dug just a teeny bit deeper. And so, let's start off with this, because to me, this is really interesting history. It's not like, 407 years ago. This is stuff that affects us within our community.
Okay.
Because we have come to the understanding of what is gender, and what is sex, and what is a gender role, attraction, and how these four things are different. They're so different. But what were they, let's just say 2,000 years ago? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, what were the gender roles? What was gender? What was sex? Back when, BC.
Before Jesus.
Before Jesus. Before the Bible was written, and they had already crafted that women were supposed to be housemakers and all kinds of other nonsense. So, I mean, it's just the role that a woman is supposed to play. So, I'm going to start with this. First off, I read that previous to the, and this was on the History Channel recently, previous to, gender roles for men and women were not defined by a person's sex organs. Meaning this, you had tribes, you had groups of cultures and people, and the sex of a person did not determine what they did or what their role was within the culture.
Okay.
And like I was talking with my baby the other night, and she was like, actually, it was just more practical than that. If you were tall, then you picked fruit. If you were short, you worked the land because you were short. Like,
I would have been working the land.
Me too. And if you were strong, then you hunted. These things did not just follow a pathway of sex. Like, it wasn't just men that were hunters. It wasn't just women who were homemakers. It was whatever your lot in life was, had to do with your entire physicality, not just your sex organs. That was the purpose of gender roles in culture way before people even started recording. Words or symbols to establish what we were supposed to be.
Okay.
And so really they say in the 1970s and 80s is when psychologists and psychiatrists started to develop organs. and how that played a role into current gender roles. But previous to that, women of all different tribes, of all different colors, of almost every single nation held what we would today think of as masculine roles.
Okay.
And the reverse is true. Men, back in previous cultures, also did not portray, use their sex as a way to be inside of a gender role.
Gotcha.
So anyway, this is the thing. I looked up a few, and I'll give you some that you can look up on your own, because to be honest, I didn't do the full history because I was so down in the rabbit hole on this.
That's right.
But it's hard. It's really hard because you got to use certain very key search words to find what you're looking for. But what I found out, once again, is that this was all over. This was not just early Egyptian. It wasn't Aztec. Like, we're talking in parts of the country all over the world. Gender norms have not been what we consider them. Today. So, going to Mexico, the Sekrata, Sekrata, Sekrata. I'm probably not saying that right, but Hispanic and Mexican culture who were gender non-conforming. It's basically they would establish a third gender. And many of us within the LGBT community have heard of the concept of two-spirit.
Yeah.
The concept of two-spirit.
Yeah.
And which is a Native American recognition of someone who is gender non-conforming.
Yeah.
They're not hyper-masculine, they're not hyper-feminine, they are a true blend of both. Sometimes they're intersex, which means they have both sexual organs. Sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Depends on the person. But in history, the most important thing is that we found that these cultures actually looked to these people, no matter what name they were called, as wise, as knowledgeable, many times high priestess or queens or kings, or, they had some type of prominence because they were gender non-conforming. And when you think about the logic of it, who more would understand the dynamics of male-female relationships, of the body, of things, be aware of things like that, than someone who was gender non-conforming?
Wow.
So even though two-spirit, I think for most of us within the community, we understand that in history, two-spirit persons, were actually celebrated.
Yeah.
They were celebrated because they were gender non-conforming. And that meant that if they had masculine sexual parts, they defied that gender role of being masculine, and they would wear women's clothes. They would wear women's hairstyles, or vice versa. They're not conforming. That means that on Tuesday you can wear slacks, and on Wednesday you can wear a dress. And people didn't even think nothing about it. It's just part of the culture. My whole point is, what has happened is, through colonization, lost what we once celebrated. The Sekrata people in Mexico, these gender non-conforming people mixed gender roles. And once again, they were celebrated for being gender non-conforming. If you look at other countries, there's another one we're going to talk about. The Anko people in Uganda, Fafine, which is really hard to say. It's Fa'Afafine.
Yeah.
Which we're talking Middle Eastern. And like I even dug up some information about the queens of Egypt. Now, if you know me, you own that Egypt stuff. So, what was interesting is that some of these queens that they have found the tombs of, the queens actually wore male headdresses and a beard. Because the beards that the Egyptians wore that were royalty, they weren't real beards.
Right.
And their hair pieces were not real. They were created and made and crafted. Yeah. So the chin strap that you'll see in a lot of Egyptian pictures that has the long, like, braided piece, that was basically like a slip-on piece. I guess it went around the ears or something.
Yeah.
But there have been representation of these queens wearing the male garb, but still honoring the fact that they are queen. It says queen on the tomb, not king. These were leaders. You know, I don't think it wasn't until the movie Black Panther, I know that I didn't know that the Maasai warrior women were actually a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. You know, and people I think were thinking, oh, this is fictional, this is Marvel. No, I think we're thinking, oh, this is fictional, this is Marvel. No, like them warrior women,
that's real.
That's real.
Yeah.
That ain't no joke.
Right there.
That ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we have had tribal leaders who were women, and also matriarchal society. Like, for those who are really deep into the spirituality of the deities, which is too many of them for me to get into.
Yeah.
But those who are on that African spiritual path, you will hear the name Mami Wata. Mami Wata was a figure, both an actual physical person, but also a deity figure, who ruled over and was leader of a matriarchal society who she believed and passed on the traditions in her teachings that women were originally the rulers, and that it was stolen and taken away from us and our history erased so that men would excel and lead because they were physically stronger and they forced it upon us. But I mean, this history that have been stripped away from us, you know, and currently when you look at where we are and how we're just now as a society barely turning the curve to accept people who are transgendered, who are LGBT. You know, we're just transgendered, who are LGBT. You know, we're just barely, psychologists are just barely starting to consider that transgender people don't have a disorder. I mean, to be transgender these days, to get your hormone and therapy treatments, you have to be diagnosed. You know, nobody's diagnosing LG folk anymore. But we still have work to do on half of our trans sisters and brothers and two-spirits and everything else who are trying to have sexual reassignment surgery and things like that. So they have to be classified as having a disorder. Yeah. And to me, that is tragic and sad, because in the medical profession, if they basically use the logic that if it harms and affects your life in a negative way, that's a disease or a disorder. But we know that being transgender does not necessarily need to affect a person in a negative way. If you would just allow them their truth and to exist and be and to get, they're still trying to say it's a mental disorder.
No, it's people.
Yeah, it is.
It's the people around that is the danger.
Mm-hmm.
It's not them being trans.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. That's not the problem. It's people's reaction
exactly
to being trans.
Mm-hmm.
People's reaction
exactly
to being trans.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what's causing all the murders.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's causing the lackadaisical police follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
Even when the lady ran into the gas station for help, and the cashier just is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not us like that. I'm not saying everybody in our community is all great.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, just for the majority of it, it's not us. It's that have othered us and want to blame us for everything. Instead of looking in the mirror at themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I just, it saddens me how far we've come in knowledge, but how far we haven't come in empathy and sympathy for other people, because it really doesn't matter. Like, in the scheme of things, a person's sex organs or the role that they play within masculinity and femininity or not, like, it doesn't affect them from accomplishing human things.
Yeah.
Period. Like, to work, to eat, to live, to have relationship. No matter who you are, you're a human being.
Yeah.
And we have seen culture norms from celebrating people who did not conform to gender to hating them. But I think it's mainly because this is not stuff you're going to hear in anybody's school.
No. Oh.
What? You're not going to, like the history that has been taken away, stolen, stripped away, not talked about. Like, who's talking about this type of stuff? Who knew that there was something besides Two-Spirit and the Messiah? And the Messiah women warriors, thanks to Marvel, like, who even knew that? Yeah. But if you don't know that in your history, then you can't say, oh, this is a normal thing.
Right.
For people who are born biologically male to wear dresses. To wear dresses. And people who are born biologically female to be strong and warrior-like. Like, if you don't know the history of that, you think you're out there on an island all by yourself, and that's just not true.
Right.
So, I just want people to be aware that this is a thing. All right.
So, my wife sent me something about a young man in South Africa. I'm going to do my best to pronounce this name. I'm just going to pronounce the first name. And I don't know if it's in, but one night he went to his local tavern, which he said in the newspaper article said that he went all the time. That was his local tavern. So, now this is the thing with him. He is little. He dresses like a woman. Makeup, face beat, everything. So he's in this tavern that I guess he frequents quite often. And he goes to the bathroom. Guess which one he went to? Guess what happened to him?
Got beat up.
Guess who beat him up?
The people in the tavern.
Guess who beat him up?
The people in the tavern.
The bouncers. The bouncers beat him up. Now, this is where my wife and I had this discussion. First of all, if you go to this place often, they know you. They know you. They know what you do. They know who you are. So I'm not sure. I'm just going by what the newspaper said on that part. He didn't really say, he went often or he didn't go. He didn't really say. Like, when he wrote what he wrote, I am who I am. I'm not going to stop being who I am. And when are people going to accept the fact that we're people, we're humans?
Human.
Okay. So this is my question. You're in Africa. you might be in a more accepting part of Africa. Do you play to your audience? And what I mean by that is, you know how people feel. Do you say, I don't go to the women's bathroom, I go to the men's bathroom, but then you dress like a woman? Again, you're inviting something. You do in that situation. Do you try to hold it? When you drinking, you're not going to be able to hold that.
Right.
You know, I'm kind of lost on this because, you know, I sit in America and we have our problems. But I know that because to the African people, not saying that they don't have their own minds or anything like that, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that I know that a lot of things that they believe were brought by the colonizers. Now, they have a thriving gay, went on his page, saw the page. He's got lots of friends, you know, gay, straight, male, female, whatever. Do you not go to the bathroom? I mean, you know, this is the thing.
It's a bodily function.
Right. I mean, and if he's dressed...
It's a bodily function.
Right. I mean, and if he's dressed like a woman, and a lot of people on his page, a lot of people were like, oh, they shouldn't have done that, you know, we're sorry. But guys, dude, you're a whole man going into the women's bathroom. You know, this is what they're looking at.
Right.
You're a whole man. You know, this is what they're looking at.
Right.
You're a whole man. I don't care if you're gay or not. You're a man. That's all they care about. Now, if anybody, I haven't been to a gay club in so long, but I know back in the day when I used to frequent them, everybody went to the same bathroom.
Pretty much.
Because we weren't interested in each other.
Right, exactly.
So, this is the thing. This dude, his face is beat. He got high heel boots on. He's this big. He ain't messing with y'all.
Right.
He ain't posing no threat. They beat him so bad. It was bad. And, you know, he said that one of them got locked up. Because why? Really? Why? You didn't have to do that. If you thought he was wrong, you tell him. You thought he was wrong, you tell him, dude, don't go back in there. If that's your rule, that's what you do. You don't have to put your hands on people. Because we're running into a lot of mess right now, even in this country, where, you know, our trans people are not safe.
No, absolutely not.
And a lot of these black trans women are getting blown away. You know, you found one here today, there tomorrow. It's ridiculous. And what do you do? These cities, there's some cities that are trying their best. Like where I work, if I said, you know what, I want to transition, they cool, no problems. But it's where I work. And I just feel bad for the people, especially the ones that are male and, you know, assigned male, but are female. Because these guys out here,
toxic masculinity,
man, they are, you know, and then they will sleep with them and then want to kill them because of how they feel inside about themselves. That right there,
a whole trigger for somebody.
That's a whole lot of stuff that they will do. They will go out, you know, they're gonna be with this person, and then if you know they're gonna be with this person, and then they feel bad. But they want to take it out on the person they slept with.
Absolutely,
it's not their fault.
Absolutely,
that you are homophobic or whatever it is that you're dealing with. You can't deal with who you are. So, and you know, we run into that a lot with the politicians. So, and you know, we run into that a lot with the politicians. The ministers. Up there screwing in the pulpit. I mean, people. You know what? We have been othered by the others. And the others keep mess going. So guess what? If I'm the loudest dog in the yard, people not gonna look at me. But my granddaddy, well, I'm gonna take that back. He didn't say that. But there's an old saying that said, the dog that barks the loudest is the one that got hit.
The one that got hit.
That's all I'm saying. You got to really, it's time for people to really stop hiding. Because the more you hide, the worse it gets.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but it gets revealed. It gets revealed. Anyway, sooner or later, your trash is going to be out there. There's bloggers out there on YouTube tearing the church up.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Tearing it up. Every doggone time I looked up, some pastor slept with some woman that wasn't his wife, having kids that they ain't taking care of. Then another pastor sleeping with some man. I mean, it's just, come on. I mean, it's just, come on.
It's a human thing.
It's human. It's
a human thing. Sexuality, we talked about the Kinsey scale before on this show.
Yeah.
That most people during a lifetime are not solidly homeless. For most people, it's a sliding scale.
Right.
Whether you slide it 2 points to the left and 4 points to the right and come back to the center, whatever it is, it slides.
Yeah.
But see, once again, this is not stuff that's being taught. You have to teach this early.
They don't want that.
Folk get up into their 60s, and then finally they're like, well, I realized I've been living a life, I'm gay.
Yeah.
And that's no judgment. I'm not judging anybody for the choices that they make when they finally reveal their truth.
Yeah.
But what fear has held folk back, and judgment has held people back. Because I know of a very specific incident with someone who was close to me at a certain point in time, married man, who came to me and was like, I need you to help me find a man to sleep with. I'm not doing that. I don't know what you thought I was, the madam of the LGBT world, but I ain't doing that. So we had a discussion, and I was just like, we had a very honest, frank discussion, flat out. What is it that you like? He liked a certain type of sex that he thought only a man could give him. I was like, baby, your wife can do that same thing. Your wife can do that same thing. Okay? We had a discussion. Oh, I can't say that to my wife. People going to be looking at me crazy and this and that and the other.
Your wife going to be telling everybody what you asked? Oh, okay. Maybe
Fear
went
and
into
judgment.
a different hole.
Fear and judgment. What you do in your bedroom with you and the person that you have consensual sex with is nobody else's business. And if that's what you like, then you need to say it.
Right.
You need to say it to the person that you actually sleep with on a regular basis.
Right.
Worldwide, I think it's a big, big problem in LGBT community for black folk and brown folk. Because we get super hyper into stereotypes. That's why, you know what I mean? That's what I meant about this poor young African young man being beat up. That was no more than toxic. Them men, I'm going to save the day. I'm going into the women's realm, save these women. And I'm going to toss them out of here and show him I'm about to. Boo-boo. First of all, he might have, you never know. You know what I'm saying with them bouncers.
Mm-hmm.
Because men who take it to the extreme, them bouncers.
Mm-hmm.
Because men who take it to the extreme, I will tell you this, 9 times out of 10, they got little secrets in the closet.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to prove how extra masculine they are.
Right.
So that nobody, like you just said, figures them out.
Yeah.
But we in the community figures them out.
Yeah.
But we in the community see the signs. We know that when you're in the pulpit and you preaching extra hard against gay folk, but you ain't so hard on some other folk, That's smoke signals for us. They're always talking about dog whistles and the Trump campaign. Right. But baby, we hear them and see the smoke coming.
Yep.
And I've known many people, either you've been hurt by somebody who was a lesbian or bisexual or trans or something. You thought you loved them. They done left. You done left your husband or wife for them. They turned you down. Now you're out here in your feelings and want to talk down about the entire. Yeah. But what we've got to do is that we've got to normalize sex again. We've got to normalize it.
Oh, you're talking to the puritanical America.
We've got to it's normal. Did you not hear me say
biblical.
That it was before the Bible?
Biblical.
It didn't matter who did what. They were just existing, living their lives. And we can do that again.
Yeah.
But you got to make it where people getting beat up, killed, and stuff for who they love and their truth. You know how ridiculous that is? People scared to tell their husbands and wives in their bedroom what they like sex. So you got to go out here and get a prostitute, Sister Franklin. Yeah, I said it. Sister Franklin. Who? Sister Franklin. Who is that? Kirk Franklin. Sister Donnie. Well, y'all got to go out here and find, come on now. Y'all got to go out here and find, come on now. Come on. Don't make the gag face. Don't make the surprise face. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Donnie's supposed to be engaged to Nicole C. Mullen.
Donnie need to quit lying to himself.
He's supposed to be engaged to Nicole C. Mullen.
Donnie need to quit lying to himself.
Said he told God. You see him on Oprah when he came and said
I saw.
He wanted to be a real man.
It ain't Pinocchio, baby. It ain't how this works. This works. You are a real man. You are a whole real man who probably likes to sleep with other men. And guess what? That's okay. That's the problem is we ain't telling folk it's okay. Like literally, it's okay. You gotta find somebody, sit, and then you go do that. It's okay, Sister Franklin. Every time that little thing come on to you, there goes Sister Franklin walking around, running around the stage, acting silly. Well, Franklin already outed himself pretty much when he was on Oprah too.
Right. The porno.
He had.
Okay.
So anyway, my whole point is, we've got to normalize this again, and we've got to get back to the knowledge. Sexual knowledge is empowerment. If the religious folk would get on the science folk and the science folk would get with the religious folk, we might can have some civility again. Because it's science. It is literally biology and science. Chemistry in the head, hormones, things like that.
They don't want to do that. They want to keep people in boxes,
in bondage,
and not the good
bondage.
Then they want to talk about deliver me.
Right.
You need to be delivered.
Mm.
You know what?
You need to read a medical book.
You need to be delivered from people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Once you get delivered from people, yeah, alright. But yeah. Disclaimer. And Larry Reload would say allegedly. Allegedly, because we ain't got no money to be getting sued about nothing. Allegedly, Sister Donnie McClary. I ain't.
Well, I mean, they outed themselves both on Oprah.
No.
I mean, they outed themselves both on Oprah.
No.
He said he had a sexual addiction, and then he tried to throw his wife under the bus and was like, and they was asking her, well, does he ever do anything that makes you? Well,
and she said yes.
She said yes.
She said he want her to not do.
Exactly.
She was not gonna do those things that he was seeing on the porno film.
And so he went out and sought out people to do those things that he could not as his wife to perform.
But why is that Sister Franklin? Because he'd have been down that road. I don't know.
That's why I'm asking. That's why he fell off that stage.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Oh my God, opinionators.
It's just my opinion.
MT.
It's just my opinion.
MT.
I'll have to push her off the screen.
She tried to take us out before we even get started. Oh, Lord and Jesus. Okay. All right. Any other people you want to pull out the closet?
Well, yeah, but I'm not.
We need a sign that says allegedly.
Trust and believe me, baby. I've said for years, y'all just don't know. We are the gatekeepers. And honey, I got a little lockbox up in here with lots of information about a lot of folk that y'all don't want to see me just really joking when I'm talking about Franklin and Donnie. I am joking. I don't have any solid evidence or proof.
We don't have no receipts.
We don't got no receipts. But I see some strong suspicions.
Well,
and they done talked about their issues with sex live on TV.
Yeah, Donnie
so
hands. I just told you, and even in his confession, I think it was, that he had said he wanted to be a real man and love a woman like a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's kind of, I might be paraphrasing. But that's what it was.
And how many times have we seen it? How many times have we in the community seen this pattern of behavior? The church folk then got you by the throat and convinced you that you need to be delivered for something that you don't need deliverance from. And so, in return, because these people are popular, these people are making money off the church folk. They don't want to lose their status, or their followers, or their monies, or their coins. So they will do pretty much anything that the church folk and the leaders tell them to do, whether it's I've been delivered, or I desire to be with a woman, or women's. You know what I mean? They get married to some poor little pitiful girl, and next thing you know, they on I Yon Love Fix My Life crying, talking about I should have never married her. Well, yeah, honey.
Now you got 3 kids, and you're really messing people's lives up.
And I say this once again: I don't judge, I evaluate. I in and throw you out of. I don't judge, I evaluate. I have no power but my words to influence you. That's all. And I want to influence you to tell your truth, to live in your truth. Because the difficult thing is being in the closet, being hidden is difficult. It's hard. And then you got to lie on top of lie. That's not godly.
Right.
Lying to folk, leading poor people astray because in your heart you got these feelings and emotions that you can't pray away.
Right.
You can't be delivered from.
Yeah.
And so you just run around here like a chicken with your head cut off. You don't know what to do.
Right.
When all you got to do is say, look, first of all, they can't judge you. The church can't judge you. Your mama and daddy can't. Your family can't. Can't nobody judge you. I can't. Spiritual stud can't. Can't nobody judge you. Nobody. We have not the right to judge. But I can't evaluate how you should interact into my life. And that's exactly what I do. Because some people are not safe. And that's what I think that baby in Africa should have done. Evaluated the situation, which he may not have known. Like you said, he was there before.
Yeah.
So it might not, they could have been on one that night. We have to learn to discern who is safe, who is not safe to be around, where to go, where not to go.
Right.
And to place ourselves, currently, we have to place ourselves in places that are safe for us.
Yep. And that's it.
And that's all there is to it.
That's it. So, okay, with one thing that has been bothering me, I heard a song, Tamala Man, Change Me.
Mm-hmm.
And in this song, she was asking God change those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and I don't know, sometimes God is speaking to me in a little still voice. And it was like, what if the things that we ask God to change, God don't want to change?
Don't want to change.
Just what if it's something totally different that God says needs to be changed? While we're out here looking at the outside of people, while we're out here looking at the outside of people, saying, change them, God, make them righteous, while they're sitting there with their fingers up their nose, talking about who I am. No one knows the mind of God.
That's right.
Stop. No one knows the mind of God.
That's right.
Stop acting like you do. You've hijacked Jesus. Put him to be something that he was never. He came here in his words to call the sinners to repentance. He said, all you people who think you are righteous, I'm sitting here judging. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you were righteous, then you would not be here. That's it. That's all. David. And he's out here. Peace.
Just my opinion. MT.